say that it was the support of the governors of the Northwest, Northeast, and North Central that was decisive in deciding the outcome of the primaries as well as the election. Of course, Bola Tinubu's puppeteers are now denying that. They are saying all kinds of things, and they will learn their lesson in 2027. For me personally, Bola Tinubu was never someone I was close to, even in the party, because in the party I was a Buhari boy. Bola has his boys, Buhari had his boys. We are Buharists. No apologies. So Bola Tinubu never really liked me. We never really got along.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining me in this video. We are to review the position of Tinubu regarding the 2027 election as he responds to the opposition, most especially Nasir El-Rufai, who said, "We are going to teach Tinubu the lesson of his life comes 2027. And responding to that position, Tinubu has told them that I will beat them silly comes 2027. I will beat them silly comes 2027. You know, before Tinubu could respond to such rhetoric, endless altercations and propagandas with definite position that he's going to beat them silly 2027. What does that imply? Tinubu has perfected, of course, every process that would get him retained within the corridor of power beyond 2027. Tinubu has eventually captured the northern structures. With what is going on with the events and happenings, reshuffling and the rest of them, the INEC recs and the rest of them are being reshuffled. Definitely, he has the control of the electoral empire at his disposal. So he's doing whatever he could to position the structure in such a way that those that will man those structures must be those who has been tested. Their loyalty, unwavering loyalty to Tinubu's administration and personality has been proven over the years. So these are the people who will man the entire northern structure. What does that tell you? For him to come out, recall, prior to 2023, he said, "It is my turn. That it doesn't matter if you don't vote for me, but what I know that I am getting there." By all means, that implies he has been able to capture the northern bloc. The northern political bloc is in his palms. For him to come out boldly and say, "I am the one to replace Buhari, and nothing anyone can do about that." He defied the entire political system, political godfathers, opposition parties, including P2B. He could not do anything. It was very clear, as El-Rufai has maintained, that not just El-Rufai, including Rotimi Amechi, that P2B won 2023 election, overwhelmingly won the election 2023, even in Rivers State. But what happens at last? What happened at last? History has it all. That the Emiloko, in quotes, was sworn in, and eventually that is the history. Of course, everyone that wants to rant was asked to go to court. If you want to express your frustrations, your pains and agony, to mourn your loss, it doesn't matter, you've been rigged. As Buhari said, was it in 1976, that not even the best candidate might not win the election. So the outcome of the election was not determined by the people. It was determined by few political oligarchs who, of course, decided to rig out, to manipulate and usurp the mandate of the people, giving it to whosoever they feel, of course, could protect their interests. Just as El-Rufai said, it was the alignment with the northern political class that facilitated the emergence of Tinubu as the flag bearer of the APC from the primaries to the presidential election. After all, Tinubu was declared the winner just by 31%, by having 31% of the total votes, which is below what is speculated in the electoral guidelines. Someone who won 31%, how could you declare him a president? Virtually nobody won the election. As a matter of fact, there should have been need for rerun to determine the actual winner, but that never happened. They did what they do, they covered it up, and nobody dares to challenge them, who, of course, there is no opposition. The same people who worked together against P2B is now pitching their tent against the same Tinubu. Sadly to them, they don't understand that the template they used in 2023 has been magnified, well reformed, and perfected by this current administration. For Tinubu to say, I am going to beat them silly, implies it is not a function of the votes of the majority of the Nigerians. Even with these economic mishaps, insecurity, bad economy, bad standard of living, and the rest of them, naturally, people wouldn't want to sustain or want to vote for the government. But he's telling them, I am going to beat you silly. Why? Because he has already, at his own time, the northern structures. What does it mean to have the northern structures at his disposal? The returning officers, the electoral commissioners, and the rest of them, he is the one to appoint them. And they are to do his biddings. Possibly the collection and the rest of them could be done overnight, just as what's happened. The election was announced, while people are still waiting for more collection and review of the election to determine to have a recourse to the provision of the Constitution that possibly will give room for a election or a run to determine the actual winner, because nobody scored half, 50% of the total vote cast. So how could you declare someone who just scored 31% of the election? Less than 40%. You can't understand what is playing out. So for El-Rufai coming out, of course, he has been able to expose, it is not a secret anyway, because people understood what played out, that as majority have expressed their position, that the mandate of the people was stolen from the people. And sadly, there was no one who to defend the mandate of the people. The judiciary that should have been the last hope of the common man today has been lost. The confidence reposed on the judiciary has been eroded. So what does that tell you? That nobody for the common man, nobody to defend the rights of the people. That is just the case. So when El-Rufai is saying that we voted him, we knew what we did, it was through our efforts and arrangements that he was eventually sworn in, and the rest of them. We defended him, we sponsored whatever went underground to ensure his emergence. We promoted the Muslim ticket. We did all we could against every other opinion or odds to ensure that we impose that on Nigerians, and eventually today they are the one fighting the same Muslim ticket, and Tinubu is telling them, now the power is at my disposal. I am the president, the grand commander of the armed forces. I have the machineries, the instrument of the state at my disposal. If you dare me, I will deploy them against you. Now I am going to beat you silly. Of course, Tinubu has been trying his best to create that disparity, division between the North Central and the main North, the core North, most especially the Fulani uh, governed regions, to make the Middle Belt understand, or the North Central, that they are not truly part of the North, that the North has been marginalizing them, have been taking undue advantage of their populations and the rest of them. Eventually, are thinking that that possibly could work to his own advantage. Some persons have argued, well, why should the South be supporting or forming alliance with the North? At this particular time, Tinubu did it in 2014, and heaven never fell. Heaven never fall. He did it. Tinubu formed alliance with the Fulani Caliphate to destroy the chances of Jonathan being a Southerner. So any Yoruba man now coming to weave sentiments that the North should not align, the South should not align with the North under any disguise, is that person is being irresponsible and is a tribal bigot. Tinubu did it, the entire Southwest did it against the interests of the South, because they needed power. They needed, of course, to be compensated for whatever political reasons. They never considered the interests, the generality of the Southern interests. Today, they are now the ones singing the praises, campaigning that the South should not align with the North under any disguise, and blah, 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 blah. That the Fulani man cannot be trusted. Well, but you trusted them. Fani Kayode said that you have an alliance, that Fulanis are your friends, you cohabit. But today they are speaking a different thing. They are still the one speaking against the Fulanis now. You see his recent position about the Fulani, that the Fulani cannot become the president of Nigeria. But that was the case when you needed to protect your interests. So it is quite very unfortunate, but my own concern is not even about the elections. My own concern is about the stupidity of certain personalities, especially of the Eastern extraction, who are still believing in one Nigeria, believing in the outcome of the election, that the election counts. Where on earth does that happen? Believing that with this current political system, it will guarantee credible, fair election, that the mandate of the people will count. How will that happen? Why already the people have been silenced? The mandate of the people has been usurped, have been hijacked. When he's telling you, I'm going to beat them silly, of course, this is the same man who said, power is not given, but you need to snatch it, grab it, seize it, run with it, and that makes you fulfilled. After grabbing it, running with it, snatching it, and the rest of them, what do you do with the power? Of course, not for service. Any power that is grabbed, snatched, robbed, kidnapped, grabbed, or whatever, usurped, is not intended to serve the masses, to serve the people. And that is the reason Nigerians should not be surprised at whatever is happening. The priority is not placed on the masses of this country, on the welfare of the citizenry, the protection of life and property of the citizens. Otherwise, we have experienced the worst escalation of insecurity under the watch of Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Unlike what even happened during Buhari's time, it was not as disastrous as what it is today. Honestly, even while a Fulani man presided over the Nigerian affairs, as worse as Buhari, as bad as Buhari, we never had it this way. Under Buhari's administration, both in terms of economy, in terms of security, in terms of the living standard of Nigerians. Nigerians were complaining then. Then you can buy a bag of rice at 25, 30,000. Yes. When before Buhari handed over, in the last 2 years. But down the line, what is the bag of rice now? The bag of rice is being bought at a point 115,000 before it now went down to 190,000. You can imagine that. Just in the space of less than 2 years, and within the space less than 2 years, it happened. Needless to talk about the fraud in obvious subsidy and the rest of them. You told Nigerians the subsidy is gone, that you're paying trillions, several trillions of naira in subsidy. And yet you're deceiving Nigerians. Who are you paying this subsidy to? If you told Nigerians openly that subsidy is gone, but through the backyard, you are still patronizing. Of course, those you needed, money is still being exchanged hands. Money is exchanging hands. It is quite very disturbing. But that shouldn't be a surprise for me, because you cannot expect a different result from a system that was not tailored, designed, originally intended to solve Nigerian problem, to meet the needs of Nigeria. So not until that system is changed, definitely we continue running the same way, just as the basic principle of Newtonian laws, that a body continue in its state of rest or in its motion, except an external force is acted upon it to alter the direction of that force. In as much as there is no external force, in as much as there are no reforms driven by the quest from the masses, pressured by the masses to bring about a transformation in the electoral process, the same people will continue to run their own system, continue to manipulate results, continue to lord it over, to enforce their own will against the majority of Nigerians. And nothing will be done except an external force is act on that particular body. It will maintain its state of rest or continue its motion uniformly. That is quite disturbing. So what are Nigerians doing to hold the government accountable to the point of embarking on strategic reforms, very clear reforms that will inspire confidence? But I have not seen any opposition as far as 2027 election is concerned. I have not seen that in P2B, not in Atiku, not in every other person. What are they preparing for? An election that has already been concluded. I've been only just waiting for time, buying time to happen. You are not holding the INEC responsible, the electoral body or the legislative who could embark on several electoral reforms. There are several lacunas they could exploit. And you are not discussing that. You are talking about election. You will beat Tinubu. You will teach him a lesson. Which other lesson? You want to teach him. And he's telling you in response, I'm going to beat you silly, because he understood that you are not very articulate. You are being distracted, not focusing at the main point. The main strength they have is when there is no reforms in the electoral process. They will, of course, take undue advantage of the process to manipulate the outcome of the election, and you can't do anything. If you douse them, they push the army, the military, of course, out there to intimidate anyone who might want to, of course, go out to the streets to express dissatisfaction. By then, it's medicine after death. The only way you could paralyze every effort by those riggers is to embark on massive demand for electoral reforms. Demand that INEC and whosoever is in charge or saddled with such responsibility of embarking on such reforms must make sure that it's been implemented and signed into law. And the president must be pressured to sign that into law. Otherwise, every other thing is just a mess up. Every other thing, arrangement is whether coalition or no coalition, and the rest of them are just emptiness. That is just the case. But are the oppositions taking advantage of this window? They are not. Only a few people who are pushing and could not sustain that. But I expected the oppositions to drive this, but sadly, that is not happening. The reason why, of course, the incumbent is being emboldened that these people are making noise. I have the structures, I know what to do to put the machineries in place. Definitely, they are being paid by the president, who determines their pay. Of course, the judiciary has taken their own share of the national cake by increasing their allowances and remuneration by 300%. Some giving them houses, the judges being, of course, gifted with very good duplexes at choice places across. So what do you expect them to do? They have taken their own share, and they know what that means. They have to close their mouth and watch as things unfold. When they say go to court, who are you meeting at the court? The same people who are under the payslip of the president, who have received overnight behind the scene their own cut of the national cake. So what do you expect them? What should you expect from the election or the litigation? That is quite interesting. But that is just the truth. Doesn't matter how we want to live in that denial, it will continue to stare at us. So let's have your own take regarding this development. Definitely for me, no reforms, no elections. If you insist on that, then you might break their wings. And of course, frustrate whatever efforts or intentions they may have. But outside this, you're just wasting a time. You might be considered the worst fool at the end of the day. Let's have your own take regarding this development. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more political updates.